Lesson 5: How to win a chess game. Part 1. Destroying the enemy and counting attackers and defenders. Concepts. Destroying the enemy army. Defended and undefended pieces, counting attackers. Trapped pieces. The special move. Castling. Destroying the enemy army. The surest method to win a chess game is to deprive the king of his allies. Once he's all alone, it's not so hard to corner him, with the obvious goal of checkmate, with even just one or two of your pieces. Today we are going to learn some techniques to eliminate every last member of the opposing army, and hopefully maintain most of your pieces along the way. The chessboard is a dangerous place. The white pieces are on the lookout for black pieces to fight with. The black pieces are on the lookout for white pieces to fight with. You now know how many squares the pieces can attack because you learned how all the pieces move in lessons 1 and 2. So how can your pieces move about in such a dangerous place? The answer is that they must defend each other. When one of your pieces attacks its friend, it's really a form of protection. Any enemy who dares to capture your piece will face the same fate on the next move. Let's see what your pieces can do when they start attacking. Counting defenders and attackers, the key to a good or bad capture. Look at the knights on d4 and c6. They are safe in the middle of the fighting because of counting. Look to the example on the left. If the black knight on c6 takes the white knight on d4, then white takes back with his bishop on e3. Then the black bishop on c5 could take on d4, but white's queen on d1 will take back. If black's queen then takes, white's knight on e2 will take capture back. All these captures are equal, so this is called trading. If white takes the black knight on c6, you'll also see that the black knight is defended enough times, and white will lose the same pieces that black does. It's important to get good at counting what pieces get traded in one of those dog eyeballs, and deciding if it's a good trade for you or your opponent. Let's practice. Imagine the moves 1 nx d4 2, bx d4 bx d4 3, nx d4. What has been captured? NB. Copyright, ChessKid.com, page 1 of 14. Lesson 5. Taking undefended guys, count captures and look for undefended pieces. Black's turn. Who is undefended? If one of your opponent's pieces is not defended, that means you can take the piece and your opponent cannot take you back. I'm sure you'd like that deal. So, be on the lookout for pieces that your opponent has placed in danger. For example, to the left, white has just gotten very excited and moved his bishop from c1 to g5 to go after black's queen. What would an alert black player do about it? Is the knight on d4 also undefended? What happens if the black queen captures it? The answers are that the white bishop on g5 is hanging, which means undefended, and that black can safely take on d4. 1qx d4 2qx d4 nx d4. Doggy piles. Counting attackers and defenders in tricky positions. The pawn on d4 must feel important. An awful lot of pieces are attacking and defending him. Sometimes a piece is defended, but also attacked more than once. Look at the pawn on b5. Two pieces are attacking it, knight on c3 and queen on d3, and only one piece is defending it. So even though it's defended, if white starts capturing, he'll win the fight, right? 1 nx b5 x 5 2qx b5, but who won more points? Black lost 2 pawns and white lost a knight. Black came out ahead 1 point. It's very important to look at the total attackers and defenders and decide who would win if everyone just started capturing everyone. Imagine the doggy pile that could happen on the white d4 pawn. Who would come out on top? Who would capture more pieces? Black has 5 attackers versus 4 defenders, so the black queen on d8 should come out on top. Captured pieces would be PNBQR and NBR, which is a great trade for black. Catching, trapping the pieces who can't move. Example 1. If you attack an enemy piece, a skilled opponent will tell the piece to dodge away. So, it's really good to be able to spot pieces that can't move. If you attack a trapped piece, they can't scurry off. This is your chance to win some points. Look to the left. The white bishop on b3 can barely move. With white pawns behind him, and black pawns closing in front of him, he is nearly trapped already. Do you see that black can close the trap on him by advancing the c5 pawn to c4? On the next move, black can capture him. Copyright, ChessKid.com, page 2 of 14. Lesson 5. Catching, trapping the pieces who can't move. Example 2. The queen on h4 can barely move. In this interesting situation, the normally lightning quick black queen can only move to a few squares. There is only one diagonal on which she can retreat from h4. g5 f6 e7, d8. White can lay a very nice trap in this position. White needs to stop the queen from escaping along that diagonal and attack her at the same time. The bishop on c1 does the job with the help of the knight on e4. 1 bg5. Now the bishop is defended by the knight, blocking the queen's escape and attacking her at the same time. Wow, what a terrific move. Now white will be able to capture that queen on the next move. Copyright ChessKid.com, page 3 of 14. Lesson 5, How to Win a Chess Game. Part 2. The special move in chess. Castling. Concepts. The special move in chess. Castling. En passant handout. Castling. The rules of castling kingside. A good time to use a secret special move. Castling is the one move in chess where you can move two of your own pieces. Because the center of the board is often too dangerous for the king, they designed a special move to get him out of the center of the board in a hurry. By castling, you safeguard your king and bring your rook into the center of the fight at the same time. To castle, move your king 2 steps towards your rook. Then, you put your rook next to him, on the other side. Now your king can hide in the castle of pawns in front of him, and your rook can join the fierce fighting in the middle of the board. In algebraic notation, castling kingside is written down as 0-0. Castling. The rules of castling queenside. 2 special moves to choose between. Castling towards the rook closer to the king is kingside castling or castling short. Castling towards the farther rook is called queenside castling or castling long. In the position to the left, the white king can castle queenside or kingside. If he castles queenside, he will end up on c1, and the rook will end up on d1, squares marked with stars. In algebraic notation, castling queenside is written down as 0-0-0. 2 important restrictions: you cannot castle if your king is in check. You cannot move your king through check. You cannot castle if your king or rook has already moved. Coach's note. The en passant handout associated with this section is a lesson all on its own. It can be implemented at any time, but because the concept of en passant is more advanced, we leave it to the coach's discretion. Copyright ChessKid.com, page 4 of 14. Lesson 5, How to Win a Chess Game. Instructor's Guide. Students should learn the basics of capturing and defending pieces before they are truly ready to play and win a chess game. Through this lesson, your students will get better at seeing what squares pieces are attacking, recognizing which pieces are defended, undefended, or unable to move, and finally how to take advantage of each situation. Students will also learn to castle, the special move by the king and rook, and the only time you can move 2 pieces at once. When the instructor feels the students are ready, he/she can move on to the en passant handout and worksheets. Key concepts to winning a chess game. It's good to capture enemy pieces, and undefended or hanging pieces are free. Taking defended pieces results in trades. Pieces that can't move are trapped and are great targets for attack. Castling gets your king out of the center and your rook into the center. En passant. What is en passant and when does it apply? Practical notes and advice. Lesson 5. Help your students understand that eliminating the enemy king's army is the first step to isolating the king and eventually achieving checkmate. Review the doggy pile concept carefully, ensuring that your students have grasped the idea of counting the number of attackers and defenders, as well as their point value. For example, by capturing 2 pawns while losing a lone knight, a player might seem to come out on top in terms of the total number of chessmen captured, but it is still a bad trade, in points. Counting attackers and defenders is less important than counting the value of the captured pieces. Find moments to mention that it's great to keep an eye out for undefended pieces and immobile pieces, for both yourself and your opponent. This is something you'll want to repeat at appropriate moments in future classes, because it's fundamental to tactics. Clarify the reasons a player might want to castle: to get the king out of the center where the action is, and to activate the rook. Seeing practical applications of this will help students retain the concepts. Copyright ChessKid.com, page 5 of 14. Lesson 5. Lesson 5. Castling quiz. In each of these positions, you must answer one question. Can white castle this move? Yes or no? Circle the correct answer. Yes. Can white castle? No. 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 Copyright ChessKid.com, page 6 of 14. Lesson 5. Lesson 5. Castling quiz. In each of these positions, you must answer one question. Can white castle this move? Circle the correct answer. Yes. Can white castle? No. 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 Copyright Chess Kid.com, page 7 of 14. Lesson 5. Lesson 5. Is it defended? In each of these positions, the black knight is attacked. Under the position circle yes if it is also defended by one of its buddies, or circle no if it is not defended. Bonus. Circle the defending piece. Yes. Is the knight defended? No. 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 Copyright Chess Kid.com, page 8 of 14. Lesson 5. Lesson 5. Doggy pile quiz. In each of these positions, white can capture on d5. If they do, there could be a doggy pile. Circle white if you think it would be a good trade for white. Circle black if you think it would be a good trade for black. Circle the d5 square if you think the trades are equal. Who gets the better doggy pile? White or black? Who gets the better doggy pile? White or black? Who gets the better doggy pile? White or black? Who gets the better doggy pile? White or black? Copyright Chess Kid.com, page 9 of 14. Lesson 5. Lesson 5. Who's hanging? In each position, black has a hanging, undefended piece. Find and circle it. For bonus, draw a line, show which white piece can capture the hanging piece. Which black piece is hanging? 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 Copyright Chess Kid.com, page 10 of 14. Lesson 5. How to win a chess game. Answer key worksheet. Castelling quiz 1 and 2. Castelling quiz 1. Diagram 1, no. Castelling quiz 1. Diagram 2, no. Castelling quiz 1. Diagram 3, yes. White can castle kingside and queenside. Castelling quiz 1. Diagram 4, yes. White can castle queenside. Castelling quiz 2. Diagram 1, no. Passing through the f1 square would be check. Castelling quiz 2. Diagram 2, yes. White can castle kingside. Castelling quiz 2. Diagram 3, no. White is in check. Castelling quiz 2. Diagram 4, no. White is in check. Worksheet. Is it defended? Diagram 1, yes. Black bishop on g7 should be circled. Diagram 2, yes. Black king on g8 should be circled. Diagram 3, no. Diagram 4, no. Worksheet. Doggy pile. Diagram 1, circle white. Knight on c3 and bishop on g2 are attacking. Diagram 2, circle black. Black's pawns are of less value and so don't offer a good trade return for white's knight, bishop and queen. Diagram 3, circle black. Black's pawn on c6 and bishop on d5 are of less value than white's rook and queen. Diagram 4, circle d5 square. Trade are equal. Worksheet. Who's hanging? Diagram 1, black rook on 8 is hanging. Arrow drawn from white bishop on g2 to 8. Diagram 2, black pawn on e5 is hanging. Arrow drawn from white knight on f3 to e5. Diagram 3, black bishop on c5 is hanging. Arrow drawn from white bishop on e3 to c5. Diagram 4, black queen on 8 is hanging. Arrow drawn from white rook on a1 to 8. Copyright Chess Kid.com, page 11 of 14. Lesson 5. Super pawns. En passant. Concepts. What is en passant? When can a player do en passant? Is en passant good or bad? En passant is French for in passing. En passant is a special capture made by a pawn immediately after an enemy pawn moves 2 squares from its starting square. This capture is made as if the enemy pawn had moved only 1 square. This rule was put in place in the 15th century as an add-on to the newly invented rule that gave pawns the option of moving 2 squares on their first move. En passant prevents pawns from completely evading capture. En passant. The super pawn capture explained. En passant is a chance for pawns to be super. If a pawn moves 2 squares ahead from its original starting square and there is an enemy pawn on the adjacent file's 5th for white or 4th for black rank, en passant is possible. To move en passant, a player must capture the enemy pawn as it passes moves 2 squares on the next turn after the move is made. En passant is not forced. It exists only as an option for a player to capture the passing pawn. If a player does not choose to capture en passant immediately following their opponent's choice to move the pawn 2 squares, then they have lost the right to capture en passant. En passant. The capture must be made immediately after the opponent's move. The b4 pawn can capture en passant, while the g5 pawn cannot. To display the idea of en passant clearly, we continue from our first diagram. With white's pawn moving 2 squares ahead, directly passing black's b4 pawn, black has the option to capture the a4 pawn by moving 1 b4's a3, capturing the a4 pawn as if it had only moved 1 square. If black wishes to capture, black must do so immediately. On the other hand, black's h-pawn that moved from h6 h5 is not capturable by en passant because the h and g pawns already faced the option of capture on g5 and h6 a move earlier. Because neither player chose to capture, en passant is not a possibility for the g5 pawn. Copyright, ChessKid.com, page 12 of 14. Lesson 5. Can you capture en passant? Read the caption to each diagram and circle yes or no. Black just played 1 a7 of 5. Yes. Can white capture en passant? No. White just played 1 c2 c4. Yes. Can black capture en passant? No. Black plays 1 d7 d5. Yes. Can white capture en passant? No. Black just played 1 h7 h5. Yes. Can white capture en passant? No. Copyright, ChessKid.com, page 13 of 14. Lesson 5. Can you capture en passant? Answer key. Worksheet, page 1. Diagram 1, yes. Diagram 2, yes. Diagram 3, no. Diagram 4, no. Copyright, ChessKid.com, page 14 of 14.